let's do it. We're gonna do a little coffee time, y'all. And we should have a good one in store. I got a few things I want to talk about. I'm behind on making videos. Uploading videos. I have so many to upload. And you know what? Can't do nothing about it. Tell you a little tip. So I make videos on my phone, on my GoPro, and I upload them to said YouTube via the phone and the iPad. So I'm gonna warm up my cup. Just a little bit. Still. So I want to say thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for helping and supporting. Gonna do some coffee time. I think I'm gonna add a little creamer to the coffee. Sometimes I like to do iced coffee in the morning, iced coffee in the evening. In fact, this is a really cool cup just because of this right here. And it fits in all your cup holders. I don't know how many ounces it is. If you live on the West Bank at the Harvey Walmart neighborhood, they got them on sale for $10. It's like a $15 cup. But at the Harvey Walmart, they got them on sale for $10. Still of a deal. And I really like the cup because you just tuck the straw, you're done. You ain't got to worry about all that. But anyway, so what I do is I'll fill this tumbler up with ice, and then I'll pour coffee on top of it, and I'll go about my day sometimes like that. This is for the First Lady. She like all this stuff. I don't really care for it, but since it's late in the evening, and I'm drinking some very strong coffee. Talking about some very strong coffee. Let me show y'all this right quick. See, this would happen when you got one of those smart brains. All right. So the ugly pot in the back, waiting for the next meal. I got to clean this big pot. Don't worry about that. We gonna now look. Let me show you this. This was my first little butane stove that I bought from the pawn shop for $7. So I took these little feet off of it in order to do a paint job on it, just so it wouldn't rust outside. I did a few videos with it, you know. Anyway, I got these screws to screw the other two of these on. That's why the holes are here for these right here. I don't know where they at. Man. So that was a little discouraging. But if ever you're going to take something loose to work on it, put everything in a bucket, put it in a Ziploc bag. A bucket is good. You're not going to lose a bucket. You won't misplace a bucket. So put it somewhere where it's going to be obvious so that it can't get misplaced, because sometimes projects go longer than anticipated. But the stove works great. I mean, this little $7, I cleaned that baby up. I got to paint this little part. But anyway, for what I need it for, it's perfect. When I go fishing, I go hunting, I go camping, I go snorkeling, I'm bringing this sucker. Now, we should be getting some lift in a little bit right now. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so on this segment of Coffee Time, I wanted to talk about a few different things. And I'm trying not to be opinionated. And that's always hard. But last night, I saw a very explicit video where one of the escaped inmates from OPP, I guess it's his auntie, was talking. And she made a few comments about the emotional toll of what's happening to her mom and dad and to her. And man, I'm not telling anybody to watch it, but I think some of the things that have been said about the family, about the escaped inmate, I think that's I think people that talk about it, it may be news to you. It may be news to you, but to the family who has nothing to do with the situation, it could really hurt them. So she kind of didn't say it like I'm saying it, but she was asking for privacy, because some people were saying some very, very provocative things that was causing unnecessary stress to the grandparents of the inmate. And also, one of the videos that I saw, because I was just trying to get information, but one of the videos I saw, evidently there's a documentary on one of the young men who they labeled as the most whatever. So the aunt was just asking people to stand down, stay in a lane, and just leave her family out their mouth. And I would have to agree with that, because whatever the inmate did, that's on him. That's not on the grandmother and the grandfather. Clearly, they weren't trying to live a life in odds with the law. So they're being basically blamed for decisions that he made, etc. And it's just unfortunate. But that's how public opinion works. And unfortunately, we in a day and age where the truth is really irrelevant to a news title or to clickbait or to views on social media. But we have to be responsible, because we can add unnecessary stress and strain on people by what we say just because we have a camera and a platform. And that is super unfortunate. That is super unfortunate. And the lady she's just not, she don't appreciate it. And I'd have to say I agree. Just imagine your worst moment as a human being, or your family's worst moment, and then you have the circus coming out the woodwork to attack, to pounce. Is very unfortunate. This is a beautiful, strong cup. Just how we like it, huh? So, I understood the stress that the young lady was under. I do understand that. And I do understand that, to get a story, people don't necessarily have all the facts. Nor do people authenticate videos. They'll see a video. The video, do they know when the video was released? But that will not stop them. That will not stop them from running that pie hole, And that's unfortunate. But everybody's entitled to their opinion, and you are listening to my opinion right now. And, So give the family some privacy. Give the victim's family some privacy. And just remember, we all could get a turn, Without business being, with the story not being told, the rest of the story, like Paul Harvey said. The rest of the story isn't told accurately. And that could paint a bad light on anything, All right, so number 2. Went to the surgeon today, and he told me he could see a little healing going on So he asked me how my pain was. I said, I have none at the moment, you know. But right now, they want to wait 2 weeks, and then I come back and see what's up. So thankful for that. So I got to wait 2 more weeks. He don't want me picking up nothing. Coco, I can't pick you up, okay? Stop looking at me. Surgeon say don't pick you up nothing. Right? So I'm not making no more popcorn. I still got to cook, but I'm going to just tie that arm up. Also, he said I need to wear a sling. But over wearing the sling and moving the arm will cause problems too. So there we go. The third thing I wanted to talk about. There was a video, Reggie something. Reggie something made a video, and on his video, it was a house burning. And so with that house burning, it messed me up. And I'm going to tell you why. Whoa, baby. It really messed me up, man, because I was looking at this video and I couldn't help but like I said, it messed me up. I'm watching this house burn. I was a firefighter for 13 years. I'm looking at the smoke come through the eaves, and it's brown. And I know that brown smoke means that there's structural damage going on. There's fire in the actual attic, and it's structural wood that's burning. Rafters, 2x4, ceiling joists, stuff like that, floorboards. So this thing is cooking. And so the homeowner is hysterical. And she's hollering at the top of her lungs for her dogs. And she wants someone to run in the house to get her babies. And I'm sorry. I'm going to leave my opinion out of it, but I'll just state fact. I'll leave my opinion out of it, but I'll give you a few facts. The name of this YouTube page is PAWSANDPLAYNOLA. The pause. PAWS. The pause. Why is it spelled this way? Because we are pet owners. We are pet lovers. We are pro pets. And that's why PAWS is here. Pause. It represents their paws. All right? Just keep that in mind when I hurt your feelings right now. It's a little dusty. But this is my retirement plaque at the local union, the 1405. I was a union man my whole time at the fire department. I had to wait a few years to get in the union because they don't let new hires in. But the minute I was able to, I became a union man because the local 1405 and Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I am a pet lover. I am a pet owner. We have 2 dogs, a husky, a chihuahua. I had a beagle recently. That's a different story. But it was rehomed because I brought it in the woods with my pawpaw, and it didn't come back to the truck. So most hunters leave their beagle in the woods after an exhaustive search. Now, you may be saying, well, why you don't have a GPS collar? I tell you what you do. Buy me a GPS collar and send it to me. All right? Buy me a GPS collar for my dog and send it to me. And just buy 5 of them. That way, when I get my pack of beagles, we'll be good. Because I'm going to just get them from Pawpaw. But anyway, he didn't have a GPS collar on him, but he did have a chip in him. So most rabbit hunters, when they hunt rabbit and they try to call the dogs back after the hunt, they're going to look for their dogs. They'll spend more time looking for their dogs than they will hunting because their dogs are valuable to them. So we got all of the dogs except mine. And that's not uncommon. So my dog, I wasn't too worried because it had a chip in him. And the way the chip worked, if somebody find him, they call the SPCA, they scan the dog, boom, the chip come, hey, pause and play NOLA, we got your dog over here, come get it. You know, I wasn't worried about it. It's like an air tag. Well, Bucket ran into a neighborhood and somebody lured her to them. They called their friend who lives in Bell Chase and gave the dog to their friend. These are older people. They brought Bucket to Academy, bought her a new leash, a PetSmart, one of them. But anyway, they bought her and they got a new leash, new collar, all of this stuff, right? And then they changed the name. They brought my dog to the vet right there by Academy in Gretna. And the vet called me one day and said, hey, we got Bucket. Just so happened, I was on the Pontchartrain Expressway. Don't tell First Lady I spilled this. I was on the Pontchartrain Expressway. And so what did I do? I dropped down right there at Lafayette or Stumpf, and I drove over there by Rouse's and I got my dog. Yeah, right. So as soon as I walked in the vet, they were holding Bucket talking to the veterinarian. Bucket turned around, she saw me, and she tried to jump out their arms. Now, at the time, I was like 41 years old. I'm 43 right now. Bucket jumped out their arms, ran up to me. I picked her up, gave her a pat on the head, and the man, he says, is that your dog? I said, yes, sir, it's my dog. He said, man, I could tell she really loves you. And I said, yeah, I love her too. All the food I feed her, you know, pot liquor. When I'm on the bed, she on the bed. When I'm on the couch, she on the couch. When I'm eating ice cream, she eating ice cream, you know? So he said that he explained what happened, you know, where he got her from and all that good stuff. And I could tell he was a good man. And I could tell he was attached in just that short time. So I told him, I said, listen, man. I cried. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I said, you can have Bucket. He said, what? I said, yeah. You can have Bucket. I said, I appreciate what y'all did for her. You know, I appreciate y'all bringing her getting the different leash and the all of that for her. I appreciate y'all bringing her to the vet to get checked up on and all that good stuff. And I gave Bucket one more hug and kiss. And I turned around and walked away. And he said, are you sure? I said, don't ask me again. Don't ask me again. I could not take my dog back after the bond that he had with her. Because the bond was just like my bond. But I couldn't take her back. I felt like he needed her. He was an older man. His wife was older. I felt like they needed Bucket. And I still miss Bucket. It's weird. Don't judge me. But anyway, I said all that to say, you're talking to pet owners, pet lovers, pro pets. When I worked at the fire department, you know, we sometimes came in contact with pets, and sometimes we were able to pull them out or help them get out the burning house. And sometimes it was a recovery. Working at the fire department, I've seen 4 bodies. One was an adult, and I've seen 3 kids roasted, burnt to a crisp. And I'll never, as long as I got life, I will never forget that. I will never forget those images of real humans burned to death, burned to a crisp. The first time I saw a burned body, I can't tell you how I felt. At first, it was disbelief. It was disbelief. And the truth of the matter is, I wanted to blame myself. It was our call. We were first in, and I was cooking some eggs on the stove. Cap had a Subway sandwich, and I forget what my jazz brother had, but I was cooking some eggs, and the tone came off. The tones went off. Structure fire. Said the street name. It said the street name. We shot out the house. Shot out the house. Get dressed. Take off. We get there. This sucker is cooking. Now, just to keep this in mind, I'll use this brick, and I gotta go. So I'll use this brick. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. All right. So this will be the A side of the house, and I'm gonna put it like this because this was the way the house was orientated to the street. A, B, C, D. So we pull up. They drop me off at the hydrant. I go to get the LDH hose off the truck. That's the large diameter hose. The supply line. It supplies the water to the truck. I hook the hydrant up. I loop it. I pull some slack. First coupling hit the ground. I tell them to go. They go to the house. Then I start breaking down the hose. Get my hydrant set up. I wait for them to give me the call. And I send the water. The A side was burning right in his bedroom. In fact, the flames penetrated through the window. So it was licking. So the flames are coming out the front window and going up. So Cap hit that real quick, waiting for me. I ran from the hydrant down to the house, and I grabbed the line. I hit it while Cap got his gloves on, and at some point, engine 2 pulled up, or ladder 2 pulled up, and we all ended up going in. We were looking for somebody. We did a search. We get into the fire room. I didn't see nobody in the fire room. Put the fire out from the inside of that room, and we're looking for somebody. We had like 3 crews all search the house. Nobody was there. So we like, look, ain't nobody there. So one of the relatives was like, yeah, let me check around Village East. He was a Vietnamese guy. And a lot of Vietnamese live in villages. So they thought he was hanging out in villages. So anyway, we couldn't find him. Fire inspector came. We started looking in the room. After everything, the smoke cleared out. We were overhauling. Couldn't find him. So we're outside, and I remember the inspector said, somebody's in there. And I'm like, no way, bro. I'll put my left hand down. Ain't nobody in there. He said, yeah. I said, bull crap. He said, yeah. I said, show me. So we walked to the front window. The same window we put the fire out at. And I'm going to just illustrate it right here. But on my knuckle, let me use this one. On my knuckle, if you were to remove this skin, you would see a white bone. Now just imagine my knuckle being black like this cup. Black like that cup. And you seeing a white bone right there. White like snow. That guy looked like he was in Pompeii. He was laying on his back with his hands up, and his knee was bent as if he was about to kick somebody, you know? And I saw the knuckle of his knee, the white bone of his knee. And I couldn't believe it, because just a few minutes earlier, I searched that room. I actually was hitting a guy as I was walking in the room on my knees, or crawling in the room on my knees. I touched a guy getting in through there, and never, it didn't feel like a human. Of course, I have on 50 pounds of gear, and I have on these thick gloves and all of that. But I crawled on that guy. I touched that guy, and I never, ever, ever knew that there was a human that I was on top of. So the fire marshal came from Baton Rouge and all that stuff. And now we got to let the family know. And then we set up a privacy screen. And the fire marshal asked us to help do some of the investigation. So we had to cut up the carpet and all that stuff. So it was arson involved. And we had to get the body bag. And guess where I was at? I was picking up this man, this burnt, charred human being who could not be identified as a human being. And the most amazing thing was, if you land on your back, all of that was black, charred, overcooked, burnt, just like a chicken in the oven for too long. It was burnt. But his back, his butt, his hamstrings, all of that was normal. And I remember how juicy it was, how squishy that portion of him was. And to see all of that blood in bodily juice, I'm like, God, dog. And I remember going back outside after we got him in the body bag and brought him out. And then we started overhauling, cutting up carpet, looking for the accelerant. I remember smelling some carpet foam, and I smelled petroleum products like gasoline. And it was confirmed, it was confirmed. And what happened was the house was in foreclosure, from what I was told, and it was arson. So we think he covered the bed with fuel. And when he lit it, it exploded and blew him back. So we believe he got knocked out from the percussion of the detonation of the flammable chemical. And then he burned to death. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. And I remember sitting outside on the ground feeling like a loser, feeling like I could have did something different. I could have been faster. I could have been quicker. I could have been more perfect. And I ate myself up, trying to critique myself. And I remember one of the guys, my captain, he said, son, This guy set the fire. Unless you was there in the house, you couldn't have stopped him. You couldn't have saved him. But I still had a very heavy feeling of sorrow and sadness because his family, the survivors, his family, they loved him. They loved him. So when I had another experience with 3 kids that burned to death. They didn't die of it. They didn't die of smoke inhalation. They burned to death. And it was Christmas actually. And we were all in a bunk. And it was cold. It was like 30 degrees that morning. And we get a call, structure fire, trailer burning. I always said my prayers when I got a call like that. Run to the truck, get dressed. I'm on a ladder truck. I'm riding behind the driver on this ladder truck. We got there in like 4 minutes, and it was so calm. The smoke plume cloud was straight up in the air. But I remember when we were running to the truck, they said, "Be advised, kids inside." And that is what you don't want to hear. But that's the moment you have to be perfect. No mistakes. And I was so happy my driver was driving because he was a great driver. And he drove that truck with due regard, but he wasn't going to lollygag. And we got there in like 4 minutes. And I remember we was coming down that bridge and you could see everything. And I was like, oh man, I'm praying the whole way there. We get off the truck. My DC is holding an 1.5 inch line. I grabbed it from him. I put my axe and Halligan down. And then I was ready for water. So I start hitting the trailer. It's a fireball. I start hitting it. Now they got buku people out there, but I'm on a seaside. So this is the front door. Let me show you like this. So this is the front door. So this is A, B, C. I'm on the seaside. And there's a door right here, but I'm hitting right up in here where this bedroom window at, and I'm hitting all the eaves right here. And I could see fire burning through the metal. So I knocked a little hole in it and put the line in there and shot water around the inside. Now, at some point we blacken it out. Blacken it means the fire is no longer burning. You put it out. So we just call that blackened. So we blackened it. Now, DC like, look, they got kids in there. So I go in through this door. Immediately to the right is a hallway. And the hallway runs along here. So immediately to the right, I go in and there's a door casing. You can't see nothing. There's a door casing and I'm holding the wall. I go in and I feel with my left hand a baby bed. And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I put my hand inside the baby bed, you know, the whole baby bed, and it was empty. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I finished searching the room. And then I turned around and I left out and I came back down the hallway. Now this is a big living room and kitchen. The kitchen is right here. The living room is right here. It's all connected. So you got a bedroom, a bathroom, and a bedroom. All the bathroom was empty. This bedroom was empty. Kitchen, living area, and they got a bedroom back here. And they had 2 kids right here, teenagers. And their bodies were like that. And the skulls of those kids, they didn't have no hair. The skull was burned white. It was pure as snow. And the body was black. And my air alarm came on. I went out, I changed my bottle, and that's right. Two kids right here. One of them head was right here by the wall, and the other one head was up here. So that's how they were sleeping. Head up here, head down here, you know, and burned to death. And the report was they had 3 kids missing. So we looking around for the other kid. Now these kids here were teenagers, older teenagers, and one of them, like their pelvis, all I saw was the white bone down there, you know, hip bone or whatever. It was solid white. And it was so freaky and vivid. I'll never forget that. And one of the captains found the other kid. He was 9 years old. And his body didn't burn like the other 2 teenagers did. But he was 9 years old, and he looked like a Peking duck. His skin had just rendered, all of the fat rendered off of his body from the heat. And he looked like a Peking duck. Or you go to the store and you get that rotisserie chicken, that's what he looked like. And that call messed me up. I'm still messed up. Still messed up. We did everything right. But that's the thing. We can't play God. Police, fire, EMS, doctors, they can't play God. And I'm not blaming God. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that because you're doing everything in your power to prevent someone from dying, but it's not up to you. It's up to them. And so we don't determine who lives or dies. All we do is try to mitigate that. We try to take them from death. Because death is coming. We just try to take them. But we can't always take them. So we don't determine who make it and who survives, who doesn't make it, and we don't determine who survives and who doesn't survive. And that call messed me up. Bad. I'll never forget that. Even so, I analyzed, could I have done anything better? Could I have been faster? Could I have tried harder? Could I have? And once again, when we got there, it was already fully engulfed with flame. How could we? They had people there. How could we? We weren't there. Who called it in? How many minutes was it burning before they called it in? You know, all of that are factors. But I have to live with what I saw. I have to live with a heavy weight because of what I saw. I have to live with a heavy weight because of what I experienced in the line of duty. And that's not easy. I almost flew away a few times behind that. And there's times to this day where I can't eat barbecue or roasted chicken because of that, you know? So I just wanted to give you a prelude to what I'm about to say. I'm watching this video and this house is burning. The front door is this way: A side, B side, C side, D side. So it's burning on the B side over here. And there's a window right here, and there's a vinyl fence right there. It's burning on the B side. But there's smoke coming out the eaves all over here. It is brown smoke. So I know the fire is in the attic. The wind is blowing on the B side as well. So it's pushing that fire from the B side, where it's burning inside the house, up the eave, through the attic, and is venting right here. So the fire is going to come this way because of the wind. So this lady is screaming for this guy to go save her dogs. This guy has no training. This guy has no protective gear. This guy has never been in this house. What do you think the success rate of him going in that house will be that's burning? Do you really think he's going to find a dog? He didn't go in the house. And I'm so happy and thankful he didn't. And the lady cried and screamed the whole video. She had a compromised mentality. You can't trust her mentality because it's compromised. Because of the trauma she's going through, her screaming for help, you'll get yourself killed. There are two questions you ask when you pull up on scene and someone is screaming for you to save their babies, or they say their kids inside. How old are they, and where did you last see them? Because that makes a big difference. How old are they? If you are a pet mom or a pet dad, how old is your baby? It's not a real baby. It's not a real baby. You can be a pet mom and you can be a pet dad. But I'm going to tell you, when you tell a firefighter who's responding to a structure fire, your baby is inside, you don't have to worry. If there is any possible hope, chance, he's going in there. She's going in there to get your baby. But if your baby is a dog, a cat, a snake, an iguana, a rat, a possum, a nutria, do I need to say it? We risk our life to save a life. We risk our life to save property. Your dog, your cat, your snake, your nutria, your alligator, your rat, that is property. That is property. That is not a life in the sense that the law defines it as a human life. It's an animal life. It's an animal life. And this is not intended to be offensive, but this is intended to educate the public so that a man who's trying to help, a good Samaritan, he can go home to his family. When you scream your baby is inside, know that your dog is not, your cat is not, your pet is not a human baby. All of this dog mom and dad dog mom, all of this stuff got to stop. It's not the same thing. How would you feel if you said your baby was in there, this man goes in there and he dies trying to save your dog? Could you sleep at night? How would you feel? You were the reason he's dead. And I say this because firefighters have been killed over pets because they were told it was a baby. And that's why we ask, how old is your baby? Where was your baby last seen? Because we don't have to search the whole house. We could go straight to the spot where the crib is. We could go straight to the spot where the bassinet is. We could go straight to the spot where the toy room is to get your baby. To do the impossible. We could do that. But don't send us in there over your dog. Don't send us in there over your cat. Don't send us in there over your pet. We will do what we can to save your pets. But we're not going to put a human life in jeopardy to save your pets. And guess what? We don't want you to go in there to save your pet. Because people die every year trying to save their pet. One house fire, we get there, this sucker is cooking. We go in there, I open up a door, and a big old husky shoots out like a wolf. We put the fire out, we blacken it. The homeowner crying about their dog. Your dog ran out. Your dog ran out. They never saw it. That dog ran up the street, never looked back. If that animal can get out, it don't need help to get out. I promise you that. I've seen it too many times where cats and dogs have ran out of a house fire and survived. Homeowner never saw it. I've had to pull a few out that didn't make it. And sometimes that does happen. But if that animal didn't make it, do you really think a human is going to make it? Who's not trained? Who's not qualified? Who's not even prepped on the layout of the house? Do you really think that human gonna make it? If your baby is in there, you let us know. If your pet is in there, let us know. But don't tell us your pet is a baby. I've seen humans burned up. I've seen humans that can't go home. I've seen humans that can't ever hug their loved one again. And I gotta live with that. I gotta live with that. And it's not easy. If we could save that pet, that's our job. It's a privilege to do it. But if we can't save that pet, you have our condolences. But that pet is not a human. It's a big difference. So if I offended any of you fur dads, fur moms, that was not the intention of this video. I'm just trying to protect life and property in a safe way. So thank you for watching this segment of Coffee Time. Thanks for supporting the channel. We make a good team. Let's work together. And please comment how you feel. Just keep it respectful. Thank you.